Okay, we are live. Get this. Okay, this is 6 plus Stevo, live for the first time ever. I have no idea what I'm doing. I've never done this before. So yeah, let's get this show on the road. So I am currently not at home. This is the Premier Inn. For those of you overseas who don't know what that is, it's a hotel. I'm away on a business trip, so I thought to kill boredom while I'm in the hotel room on my own this evening, I might as well shoot a live video. When I come away on these things, I tend to bring a few models with me to build, and that give me something to do, but I thought why not do a live video while I'm here, just to try it out. So what am I building? I am building today the Necron Immortals from the Forgebane set. So I'm here for 2 nights, so if I can build a couple of them tonight and the other few tomorrow night, and then I can return home with 5 complete Immortals, should be pretty cool. So got a few bits. I've got my sprue, and I thought while I do a bit of building, Richard King there, hello mate, how you doing? Thanks for joining me. So I've got my glue. This glue, by the way, if you can see that on camera, is bloody good stuff. This is the best plastic glue I've ever used. I've got it well wrapped though, because I did not trust that bottle. I did not fancy having that leaking everywhere. Hopefully you can all hear me, because I am speaking quite quiet because the walls here are quite thin. And the person in the next room, if they're listening to me waffle on right now, they must be wondering what the hell I'm going on about. Hopefully, and I'm connected to the hotel Wi-Fi, so hopefully the signal's good and the picture, sound and everything's working. Pop up messages if we are having any issues. Not that there'll be a whole lot I can do about it. So I've got my clippers, I've got my mould line remover, and my instruction books. So let's see what we've got here. So we get five Necrons on the oh hello, Danny Fuller. Haha, I thought I was the only person who took minis with me when I go away for a few days. No, you're not the only one, mate. There are a few of us weirdos around. Thanks for joining, mate, anyway. So 5 Necron Immortals. I've never built these before, not since I had the old metal Immortals back in the day, who look almost identical to these ones actually, barring that the I see the Gauze Blasters now don't have the green rods anymore, but I'm actually going to be building mine with the Tesla guns, because I just like the idea of those volume of dice when you're hitting those 6s and you're getting 3 hits instead of 1. Sounds pretty nice. My Orks wouldn't like that. There's a tip for Necron players: if you're fighting against Orks, use Tesla, because I can tell you now, my Ork boys would be terrified of that gun. Imagine a unit of 10 Immortals firing them into your hordes of boys. They're just, yeah, they'll mow right through them. Like I said, I hope you guys can hear me. I do not want to raise my voice any louder than this, because it's gonna, I don't want the hotel manager tapping on the door saying you're keeping the other guests up. So where's the instructions for these fellas? Nope, that's the Wraiths. I'm building the Wraiths at the moment. I've got one of the Wraiths 95% complete. Brilliant, good, glad to hear it, Richard, that's good. The Wraiths are a pain in the arse to build. They're not really difficult as such. They're just a bit of a chore. There's a bit more pieces than is very necessary, I think. Like the pincers on the front, they've got like 4 parts to them, and I think that could quite easily have just been 1 part. So yeah, they're a bit more of a chore. The Lich Guard I was building, they went together real nice. Brilliant looking models. I did have a bit of trouble getting the bloody shields off the sprue. These modern sprues, where they pack the stuff in so dense and tight, it's great because you're getting more for your money and they can squeeze more into the box. But some pieces, trying to get the clippers in the little bits to get them out, you can quite often damage the piece, and that's what I did to one of the shields. So I've currently got 4 Lich Guard with the shields, and I'll have to build one of them with the War Scythe. But I do plan to get more, so then what I'll do is I'll have 5 with War Scythes and 5 with shields, just so I can have 2 different squads. I'll do the same with the Immortals as well. I'll probably have this kit a few times because I want Immortals with Gauze Blasters, I want them with Tesla, and I do want to make Death Marks as well because damn, those Death Marks look cool. But I think Immortals as a starting force is probably the more sensible option. I think the Death Marks are a bit of a one-trick pony. Probably not advisable for a small army, which this is going to be to start with, because it's literally just the contents of Forgebane. But my plan is to get these guys built and get them painted up nice and quick, and then I can start using my Necrons for battle reports on the channel. Because my Orks are going to take a while. There's a bit more to do there with the Orks, and the painting is a little bit more, well, there's more to it. Necrons are simple. It's a bit of dry brush and a bit of ink washing. And so, yeah. And I'm on the wrong page. Where are we? Here we are. So, they're telling me to start off with the torso. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to start off with the legs. Tell you what, let's just clip all the legs out and we'll get them filed down and stuck onto bases, and then that way I can chat while I'm doing it. So the big FAQ came out, and I know it's sort of for the most part seems to have gone down quite well. I think there's certain people with certain armies that are not so pleased about, you know, some of the changes. Some people on the tournament scene are not so pleased about some of the changes. I think some of the power players and stuff. Oh yeah, just hang on. Where's the comments? Let me see. Do they come back up? Show live chat messages. There we go. There we go. Richard King says, I've put the Orks to one side until the Codex comes. Yeah, I'm sort of half and half. I'm still working on the Orks. I'm still going to be playing with them. You won't be seeing battle reports because they're unpainted. But me and Joe, we play with unpainted armies. I know heresy to some people, but we're just, you know, playing friendly games at home. So that's still going to be my primary army just for playing. But I won't be adding anything to the army until the Codex comes out, because, well, not so much because of in case things change and the stats improve or get lower or whatever. It's not so much for that reason. It's just for the reason that I might buy something and then a new version of it comes out, which is much better. So I don't want to be blowing money on stuff that's going to be sort of outdated or obsolete soon. So we'll see what comes out with the Ork Codex. Currently though, my plan is to be adding more cans, Death Dreads. I would like to add a Morkanaut to the army. I do play Bad Moons, so I would like a lot of cans. And so I want to make the army more shooty, because currently it's Bad Moon in name only, really, because I've got loads of Slugger Boys. I do have things like Tank Busters and stuff, but it's not really a predominantly shooty army, which I think Bad Moon should be. So I would like a good dread mob backed up by some big guns. So I like the mech guns and the big guns and things like that. So I'm hoping to pack in a lot more firepower. Also things like looted wagons and just stuff like that. So mega knobs, flash kits. So quite a lot really that I want to add. So Richard says, yeah, I play Evil Sons and hoping for new kits. Well, hopefully, Richard, you will be getting Wazdaka Gutsmech, because that'd be great for Evil Sons players. Plus, you should be getting the new buggy, Scorcher, Wartrack, all that, which will be great for you. And I imagine that the bikers are going to come down in points as well. I'd be very surprised if they didn't. I'm sure they're going to make them a lot more competitive now. So should be a good time to be an Evil Sons player. Right, don't know why I'm getting the instructions out, I just need to be filing these down. So yeah, the big FAQ. What were the changes? We had the change to smite spam, which I think is good, because smite spam was well, it was just a little bit over the top, wasn't it? Hey Connor, thanks for joining us, mate. And it was smite's very easy to cast. It's quite rare that you fail in casting smite, and it's powerful. Smite is incredibly powerful. It can wreak havoc if you're not prepared for it. So I don't have any issues with them slightly nerfing it, and they haven't really nerfed it. They're just, if you're going to use it several times, then it's going to be harder and harder to cast. But even then, you could use it sort of 3 to 4 times and still get it off quite easy. So especially for orcs or weird boys, they can cast quite easily if they've got enough boys in that round. So yeah, that was a cool change. Just lessened it a little bit. Also, what else did we get in the big FAQ? A change that I loved is the increase in command points for battalion and brigade detachments. This is that as soon as I saw that, I was like, that's brilliant, especially for me, because I'm run quite a troops heavy army. I can run several squads of boys, several squads of grots to get those command points, and that's currently sort of how I play my army. Just max out on troops, get as many command points as possible. So having access to more of those is just brilliant. That's just fantastic. It was weird though, it said it in the Warhammer community, where it on the bit where it first revealed it, it was saying, oh, this is great for like elite armies and things. And I don't know if that was a misprint or what, because I don't know what they were talking about there, because it's not great for elite armies at all, because it made no mention of it's not the Vanguard. You got the detachments, the one where you basically just get an HQ and a load of elites. What was it? Not the Vanguard detachment. It might have been the Vanguard detachment actually. Because you got the one with the heavy support, one with the fast attack. Fast attack's Outrider. If anyone knows, pop it up on the comments now, because I don't have the rulebook here in the hotel room with me. So yeah, for anyone that's joined, I'm not at home right now. I'm in a hotel room. So yeah, I don't know why they said that. Why they said it was great for elite armies, because it's got nothing to do with elite armies. It favours troop heavy armies, and this I think is great as well, because don't get me wrong, it's great now the way that the detachments and stuff work, that people can build an army however they like, and that is cool. So you can theme your armies and stuff, but like with all things, it's kind of abused by the power players. The reason GW did this is for fluff reasons. So you can theme your armies. If you've got like a cool thematic idea for your army, you're not restricted so much by the old Force Org chart, which is cool. But then you get people building armies that aren't armies. And like they said in the update on the Warhammer community, the whole one of the playtesters said, I'm losing my thoughts now, because I'm trying to do 2 things at once. that yeah, it's great because now people are rewarded for making their armies like armies, you know, with commanders and lots of troops, which is how I've always built my armies. I quite like legions and legions of stuff, even if I'm playing, you know, armies like Necrons and stuff. I probably will in my Necron army have quite a lot of Necron warriors, because I do like fielding a lot of troops and having those numbers on the board. And that's not saying there's anything wrong with building elite armies and stuff, but I think it's right that you should be, well, you're not even really being penalised, but you're not gaining access to those extra rewards that the troop heavy armies are, and I think that's right. So I like the way GW are really encouraging people to put troops in their armies, because it's so easy just to think, oh, well, I'll just pick the stuff with the best stats, I'll just pick the most powerful things, and I think that's quite a one-dimensional way to build an army. If Joe's watching now or watching the replay, he'll be scoffing at that because he is all about the elites. He doesn't touch the troops section much if he can help it. They're not very exciting to him. But to me, that's an army. That's why I got into this game. I wanted to play armies of stuff. You know, I wanted hordes, I wanted legions of stuff. Yeah, he's here. There he is. Reroll Joe. Oh. Power player. There you go. There's I had no idea you were watching, mate. I thought you might see it on the replay. But yeah, so he's probably seething over that now, because in our next game I will be having even more command points and being able to throw more rerolls and stuff. So maybe they'll start calling me Reroll Stevo. Hello, mate. How you doing? Thanks for joining us. So yeah, so I think that was really cool. And obviously I'm a bit biased because, like I say, I run a troop heavy army, so it's great for me. It just means suddenly now I get more command points for not having to make any changes, so that's cool. Not that we have a whole lot to spend them on at the moment, because we've only got access to a few, but they are useful nonetheless. And you know, the good old reroll and automatically passing leadership tests and stuff, these can be game changers. They really can. So it's great having access to more of those. What else did they talk about in the FAQ? No more Alpha Strike. Love minis. Hello, how you doing? No more Alpha Strike, so no more deep striking your stuff on turn 1. So yeah, what about the Avengers? You'll have to talk, what you talk about, the movie? Oh, there you go. Magnus Nagard. If elites won wars, explain Agincourt. Case closed. Cease. Brits should know that. Oh, power play, Rogers. The Avengers power play. Yeah, there you go. If you want to know, guys, how much of a power player Joe is, a game we had a while back, it was my son's. He'd had a few games with me, just some practice ones, but it was his first proper game of 40k. So he allied with me to take on Joe. And so there's my Orcs, my son's vanilla Space Marines. And I think it was 2,500 points between us. And Joe fielded his army, and it was basically all the characters from the Space Marines. Of who did he field? He fielded, he'll probably comment up in a minute who he fielded, but there were Space Wolf characters, I think all the Space Wolf characters. There was Marnius Calgar. Joe, correct me if I'm wrong here. Might have been Lysander. There were some Terminators in there. Yeah, he's saying most. There was most of the characters, and it was a hard army to fight, man. I think he thought he tried it for fun basically, and he thought he was going to get pounded. We never finished the game, but it was brutal because, which takes me back on to another FAQ actually, is the character special rule, because when you got that many characters, he could basically decide each turn what we could shoot at, because if one character was low on wounds, he could just swap them around, and then we could only shoot at the closest character. That's another rule that's changed in the FAQ. There we go, guys. Sorry, we're back on. I hope that's. Hope you're all still here. Let me just have a look at something here quickly a minute, because the ones, bear with. Right. Hopefully we're still live. If we are, please comment. Let me know. I've just switched it to my 4G because the hotel internet didn't seem to like the strain. It is free Wi-Fi after all, so I'll stick to the thing. But what was I saying? Yeah, the FAQ changed, mate. I was chatting to Idic Beer actually when I stopped off for a coffee and fag break on the way. Yeah, what was I saying? Yeah, so it's right that characters are they can't be targeted. It might not be realistic, but it makes sense because yeah, that's who he used. Yeah, Joe throwing every special character he could at me. It's not realistic that you can't shoot at characters, but is it realism that we want, or is it more cinematic? And I would argue that it's more cinematic. Like if you're watching, say Star Wars, if Luke Skywalker just got shot in the head by a stormtrooper, it'd be a pretty crap movie, wouldn't it? Or on Lord of the Rings, if Aragorn just get stabbed straight away by some random goblin or something and died. Again, it wouldn't make for a great movie. You want the characters and that in there to be kicking ass, and if they do die, to be going down in a blaze of glory, you know. So I think that makes sense. I don't think many people have a problem with that. But I'm glad that they just sort of tweaked the rules on that a bit, just to stop it sort of being abused in the way it probably was, especially on the tournament scene, I bet. What else did they change in the FAQ? There was a few things. I mean, some FAQs are good, but some make you scratch your head, like Deep Strike. Yeah, the Deep Strike bit, I don't really have an issue with it actually. In fact, I think I quite like it. I've not played a game since the FAQ's come out yet, but with my orcs, right? Yeah, Magnus says. Always tries to bring his snipers just to scare the opponent, and that, yeah, obviously snipers can take out characters and stuff. It makes sense, they're snipers. But what was I saying? What were we talking about? Oh yeah, the Deep Strike rules. No more Alpha Strike. Currently, I haven't played since the FAQ came out, but I, up till now, have always deep striked my Deathcopters in turn 1. But actually, I don't think it's a very good tactic, and I don't think it was working out that well for me. I basically deep striked him in to try and take out Joe's tanks as early as possible, because his tanks were a big threat to me, or some of his dreadnoughts, you know, vehicles anyway. Try and take out some of his big units with those rockets, or to tie up some of his like snipers and devastators, etc. But I would also always get a bit impatient and think I need to kill as much as possible as early as possible, and also use him as sort of like a distraction unit. So while he's dealing with the Deathcopters, my boys are closing in. But actually, I don't think that tactic worked very well. So in a way, forcing me to not be able to do that is probably going to help my game, if anything. And remember, in the older editions, we could never deep strike turn 1 anyway. We had to wait till turn 2, and then even then we were rolling for it. You know, we were rolling the dice to see if we could, so we never really even knew when they were going to come in. So just to say that it's on turn 2 now is, I don't think it's that much of a nerf really. I think it, you know, I think it's going to be okay. And there's certain units and certain things that don't. At least we can still deep strike and assault. Could never do that before. Yeah, very true. Idic Beer there. Very true. And we don't mishap either, because fucking hell, I hated that roll. I couldn't believe the other day I shared it on the Unification page. Some people were asking for that shit back. Some people want the mishaps back. They want to roll dice to see if their unit just destroyed. Who wants that? They say, oh, we're bringing an element of, luck and strategy. No, it doesn't. It just brings in an element of bullshit. It's nothing fun about that. There's nothing fun about that. You want your stuff to come away. I wouldn't mind so much if they did it where it scattered a bit or something, but not that if it touches a fucking hill or something, they just blow up. I mean, I went into this about a video for another one with my monolith, doing that a couple of times in game. Absolutely heartbreaking, and literally would lose me the game just because of one bad dice roll. And I think if anything's just losing you a game like to that extent, it's got to go. It has no place in the game. So no, I think most sensible people much prefer the new deep strike rules. And I think maybe they were a little bit overpowered with being able to be any turn, including the first. If you're playing like a gunline army and then the opponent's deep striking on you straight away, it can be hard. Inexperience scattered 12-inch and rolled monolith died. Yes, had that happen a few times. The monolith wasn't so bad in a way, because if you I think most things, if they landed on an enemy unit, would die, but the monolith didn't. They had to move the pieces out of the way as it came down, which was quite cool. But if you were playing on like densely packed things with terrain, if it was going to scatter, it was going to scatter towards a building and blow itself up. And usually not just the monolith, but you would lose your warriors that were ready to teleport out as well. So yeah, I think the new deep strike rules are great, and I have no issue with the FAQ, just nerfing it slightly, because I think it's still really powerful. And I think it just, again, with any rule changes and stuff, we just have to adapt to them. And I don't think losing a turn 1 deep strike is going to take too much adaptation. And in fact, it might force us to be a little bit more patient. Yeah, terrible losing so many points from one bad rule. Yeah, Joe, I agree. Although you never roll bad anyway, so I don't know what you're complaining about. And if you do, you're re-rollable anyway. The reason, people, that Re-roll Joe is called Re-roll Joe is because he plays the Space Marines, and he uses, what's the character? The Deathwing character that re-rolls all misses. And then a lot of his characters and a lot of his stuff re-rolls wounds. I would imagine that with Joe's dice, it's probably 90 to 95% success rate on actually getting a wound through. So nearly all of them are hitting. If they don't hit, he's re-rolling them, and so they're nearly all hitting. And then wounding, with a lot of his stuff, he's using either lightning claws or he's getting buffs from characters and stuff. So and he rolls high anyway. So against my orcs, if he shoots, he basically kills an orc. He will hit it, he will wound it, and the orc either won't get a save, or if he does, it's only a 6+. So I wish the comments are popping up, but they're disappearing before I can read them. They just pop up as someone. It's probably something on the settings here, but I don't want to mess about with it too much. I knew this would happen as well, because I'm chatting. I've only filed down one set of legs here, and I don't know if I've done it very well. I like the snow GW constant stroke. How do I get these back up? Where's the comments? Show live chat messages. There we are. Yes. Sounds like Blood Angels. No, Edic Beer, it's well, I know you have experience with Blood Angels. I've not really had an experience against them. It's Deathwing, but yeah, reroll all ones with the captain and lieutenant. Yes, he doesn't use a captain though. He uses Belial, so he rerolls all misses, so 1s and 2s. So it's even worse. But yeah, they're just, it's hard to play against. The orcs suffer massively, especially with our basically non-existent saves and things. Joe's army cuts through mine like a hot knife through butter. But we have fun. We've got 2 very different play styles, 2 very different type armies. I go full horde. If I was to try and use my elites and my heavies and stuff and make a bit more of an elite force, I think he would absolutely wipe the floor with me though. The only way I've found to beat him currently is with the boys before toys motto, in just packing in as much stuff as possible and outnumbering him 3 to 1, 4 to 1 sometimes. Okay, I've got one set of legs filed down pretty much. Getting there. I should have brought my Stanley knife with me because I can't get in some of these little bits with this mould line remover. It's a good little tool this, but it doesn't, it's when you're getting in some of the tight little bits, it's hard to get. But do you guys all remove your mould lines? Tesla, Idic, I'm building these as Tesla, and if you ever play Orks, Idic, pack them Teslas, because I can tell you, as I was saying at the beginning of the video, coming from an Ork player, I do not want to be facing Tesla. The thing is, I'm going to be fighting against Joe's stuff, so I would actually be better using the Gauze Blasters probably, but the Tesla, just that weight of fire, it's just too tempting. But I will get more. I will probably have both in the army. I plan to have both types of Immortals and Death Marks because I just love all of them. They're just so cool. The Death Marks are such cool models. I'll tell you what, actually, guys, speaking of cool models, here's a question for you all. If you see a model or a unit and you think it is the coolest thing you have ever seen, but then you read in the codex that it's crap, maybe because it's overcosted, or it's just weak, or it's been nerfed in some way, would you still buy it, and would you still play it? I was planning on making a video about this, but since we're here, let's just chat about it now. For me, yes, I totally would, and the prime example of that for me is the Gorkanaut in my army. Now I bought the Gorkanaut towards the tail end of 7th. Yeah, kind of saying about flash kits, that's a big one. I plan to buy flash kits, even if in the new codex they're still crap, I will buy them because damn, they're cool models and they fit the Bad Moon fluff. But the Gorkanaut in 7th edition was not good. It was so easy to take down, and it didn't really do a whole lot. Not for the points you were paying anyway. It was just a big bullet magnet. Idic Beer says, I love underpowered units. It's a lot of fun trying to make them work. That is why I have 60 flayed one army. I bought them and flayed ones are rubbish. Yeah, I had a few flayed ones in my old Necron army. Just a small little squad of them. Used to use them as a bit of a distraction unit, and they weren't ever very good really. But they were cool models. Love minis. I buy them if money is good. Yeah. So for me, I totally would. It's how cool the model is. Probably comes above, how good it is on the tabletop. Richard King says, yeah, for me, gotta love the models, play for fun. Yeah, totally. Although I'm in a bit of a, I think for me building armies, I'm a mixture of everything. It's got to look good. I like it to theme it in a certain way. And I do try and be competitive and build competitive lists, but not at the expense of it being thematic and fun and what I like. So it's, for me, I sort of try and tick all the boxes really, try and be competitive. Also, bad units go cheap on eBay, but I always say bad ready for when they become good. Yeah, Idic Beer makes a great point there. Buy them on eBay, snap them up when no one wants them. That's a really good tip actually. Because especially as they keep doing these FAQs and erratas and chapter approved, it's probably not going to be long till everyone's moaning about that unit and it suddenly gets a massive points drop or a bit of a stats boost. So what we do, 35 minutes, and I've managed to file down one set of Immortal legs, so I don't think I'm going to have all these guys finished when I go back home. Let's see if I can at least get some legs on the bloody basis though. Come on, I'll never get these guys done otherwise. I'm looking forward to playing these though. Mine and Joe's next game, I'm gonna test out my Necrons. I think I'm going to be taking on his Deathwing, or might be his Thousand Suns, don't know yet. But it's going to be, I doubt I'll win it because it'll be the first time playing with them again, and I will literally just be using the contents of the Forgebane set, so it'll be very much a practice game just to get a feel for the army and learn it. But hopefully soon, once they've got paint and stuff on them and I've added a few units, I will get our first battle report up on the channel. So that's going to be really cool. Have faith, yeah. I try to, mate. I try to. It's they can't do any worse than what Orcs have been doing. Necrons. It's good to be building these guys again, though. It is. It's like an old friend. Joe's still got me saved on his phone currently as Necron Steve, because that's how we first met back then. Back when Joe was using his Black Templar army, and we did have some good battles back in the day. So, I'm trying to think what else there is to talk about now. I've covered pretty much everything FAQ wise. This is very much not really a planned video. I just sort of thought about it on the drive up here. You know, I took these to paint and build, and I thought, why not shoot a video at the same time? And then I thought, why not shoot it live? So yeah. So I don't really have anything planned. Magnus de Guard, I got one. What have you got, Magnus? I'm intrigued. What have you got? I'm very curious now. Do not leave me in anticipation here. And like I said on, I commented the other day on Big Mech Danskull's video. Idiot bear. Talk about knobs. Every video I'm talking about knobs. Like I said at the beginning of this video as well, these hotel walls are very thin. Is this too much GW interference in the rules? No, I don't think so. Can they interfere with their own rules? They make the rules more than twice a year. Yeah, I see what you're saying. Richard's laughing at that. You're talking about knobs. I don't know, in one sense it does seem a bit excessive. We're getting FAQs and erratas and stuff all the time, then we're getting the chapter approved once a year, and then we're getting big FAQs twice a year. But I don't know, I mean, you're never going to please everyone, are you? But I think they're doing their very best to please the people that deserve to be pleased, if that makes sense. I don't want to upset anyone, but I don't have any sympathy for the power players and the uber competitive tournament players that are moaning that, oh, I can't spam the same unit, or you've nerfed this, or now I can't strike in and wipe the opponent off and turn. Sorry, I don't have any sympathy for you, because you're kind of a dick. Sorry, that's just the way I feel. I don't want to play against people like that. I want to play competitive. I want to win, and I want to beat you. We want to have fun, but personally, I'm trying to teach rules to kids who can't read English, so they'll have to remember rules. Yeah, it does make it tricky when you've just got a grasp of the rules, and then a load of rules change, and then if you give someone new to the game the rule book, and you read the rules, and then you play, and a lot of the rules in that rulebook aren't the rules anymore. So yeah, do you think it's a little confusing for new players who buy the rulebook and maybe don't know about FAQs? Yeah, as you've thought exactly the same thing, Joe. Yeah, I do, which is why one of my older videos I talked about like the digital codexes and digital rulebooks and stuff, and I think now in 2018 we should be at a time where you download the rulebook and a codex or whatever for whatever army you play, and as each update to points and stats and everything comes out, it just updates automatically. So you get, just like when you're playing a computer game and you get a patch and it just updates automatically, and maybe you'll get a notification saying you're bringing to your attention what's been updated. If they did that, I would probably for the first time ever switch to digital copies. But until they do that, I'll still use the book and just keep an eye, you know, watch out for things, you know, FAQs and erratas and stuff. But I think if you're playing casual and you're playing friendly games at home, it doesn't matter if you're playing the rules from the rule book or the rules from the FAQ, as long as you're both playing the same rules and you're both happy. I think it only then comes into it on the tournament scene and stuff, and in which case you're probably a hardcore player that's well up on all the rules anyway, so I don't think there's necessarily too much of an issue there. My main issue with 8th is I just haven't got time to adjust all the rules for all my armies. Only time for 2 armies out of 6 to use. Yeah, time is precious for all of us as well. I know I've got kids and family and work. You know, I'm away from home at the moment. You know, on a conference and stuff. So we don't have a lot of time on our hands and to keep learning new rules, and then obviously, like Idix just said, you've got to adapt those new rules to your army and play it in a totally different way, and playing different armies. You know, I remember because I played Necrons purely back in sort of 3rd up to 5th, and I think by sort of, yeah, it was around about 4th, 5th edition where I started expanding out into other armies, Orcs, Black Legion, Tyranids. The mistake I made with a lot of those armies and a lot of those games, I used to do really well with my Necrons. My Chaos Army, I don't think I ever won a game with my Chaos Army. For one reason, because they were like just fluffy. They weren't competitive at all. I had a Lord and a Dreadnought that used to kill themselves and the rest of my army. Most turns would turn on my own units and kill them and stuff and just do chaotic stuff. It was fun, and that was because I used to use them like Necrons. I had a strategy down with my Necrons. I had my phalanx, as they used to be, and I had my Scarabs would swarm up, tie units down. My Necrons would close into rapid fire range. You know, the first couple of turns I'd weather the storm, and then I would just unleash hell on them. My Wraiths would be coming flanking up the side behind buildings and then striking out, and I just used to, that was my strategy with them. And then when I tried to use that same way of playing with my Chaos or my Orcs or my Tyranids, it didn't work out well, because they were very different armies and they were designed to be played very differently. And that's taken me a while with the Orcs, actually. Even since I've got back into it, I still sort of had that old sort of Necron mindset in the way of playing them. And Orcs, you've just got to play them so differently because they're such a different beast. And so, yeah, learning new rules, applying that to the armies, learning the new army, it takes a while. It takes a good few games before you really get... yeah, good point, It seems like I'm always making a new list. A new list for your one army or a new list for different armies. I tend to write out a lot of lists. Sometimes it's just fun to write them out. Like Big Mac Dansko was saying the other day, it was his worst. Okay. It's going to be probably nearly an hour long video. Yeah, I like to take different units and try new tactics. Yeah, you do, don't you, Joe? You like to surprise me. That's another thing. Do you guys, when you play a game, do you, one army, but again, different armies with new rules? Yeah. So do you guys, when you're coming up to a game, you know who you're playing against, you know what army they're playing, do you try and tailor your lists? What do you think of this so-called Necron Tourney list? 3 Vaults and 3 Cryptex. I don't like it. I've not heard of that before you just said that, Idic, but it sounds, it's not the sort of army I would play. I wouldn't gain much enjoyment or satisfaction from that. It just sounds so power play. It's not my sort of army at all. I wouldn't be. No, never Taylor. Hard enough for my buddy to beat me as it is. Not fluffy. Yeah, Richard. That army's not fluffy. No, I wouldn't like to play as that army or against that army. Actually, I wouldn't find that very, which is goes back to again the great thing with the FAQs, rewarding players for taking troops, getting those brigade detachments and battalion detachments, so you actually get a good army. See, one thing as well, Necrons aren't fluffy, they're metal. They're not. they're plastic. See? See, like with my army is fun to play. It's also fun to play against. Joe will tell you, win or lose, whether he has won the game or lost the game, he's going home after playing me having killed a lot of boys, a lot of orcs. So even if he's lost the game, he has gunned down orcs in their hundreds, and that's fun to play against. Honestly, I don't think it would do well myself. The Vault was rubbish when I played it. Only good thing is sniping characters with mortal wounds. Yeah, it's yeah. Whether or not it's competitive or not, I don't have access to the codex and that to see that and sort of make my throw my tuppence worth in on that. All I can say is that again, it doesn't look like an army on the table. I would see an army being one of those Tesseract Vaults as a centerpiece to an army with legions of warriors or mortals or flayed ones or whatever. To me, that's an army. I always quite like armies themed around lots of troops and a big some sort of big centerpiece, something eye-catching to sort of. I think that looks quite cool like that. For me, anyway. That's just my taste. But yeah, I think troops are a good thing to have in an army. It's not very fun to play against something where just everything is really hard to kill. Trouble is, it's 500 points and not many points left. That's true. That's true. If you're playing, what is most of the tournament scenes? Most tournaments are 1750, are they, or 1500? So if you had one of those, yeah, and Necrons aren't cheap, are they? They're not like orcs. For me, even if I do field my Gorkanaut, he's about 300 and something, 2k. So you could, you've still got 1500 left for, you can fit a fair bit in 1500. I think if you do like that, if you go expensive in one area, you have to sort of make some sacrifices somewhere else. And those big units, those big expensive units like that, yeah, it looks cool, but would only take one. Yeah, I'm the same. Yeah, especially at that point, so I would only take one. But those big units, like my Gorkanaut, for example, is about 300 and something points. It's not, once you've added all the war gear and that. And then I usually have the big mech inside him to give him the custom force field, so he ends up being near on 500 points with that. So if I do field that, I then have to make some sacrifices elsewhere. Also £95 each to buy. Yeah. Ouch. Not cheap. I remember when the monolith was the biggest thing in the Necron army. It does look like a cool model though. I'm working on 2 squig-offs. Oh cool, I'm jealous. I would love to have a squig-off in my army. Who knows, maybe GW will bring out a plastic one, or maybe I'll treat myself to that gorgeous looking squig-off from Forge World, which I just think looks epic. It would be cool to have one of them in my army, definitely. Okay, well, I think I'm going to bring this video to a close soon. I'm just finishing up my 3rd set of immortal legs. I'm going to set myself a goal tonight of getting all 5 of these legs removed of mould lines and based. Hopefully all you guys remove your mould lines. Pet hate of mine. I've seen some people, I've played against some people's armies, and they're relatively good painters and good players and stuff, but they will field stuff and you can see all the mould lines now on it, and I just think, why? What? Doesn't matter how good you paint it, if the mould lines are there, it's gonna look shit. Personal opinion, some people might disagree, but no, mould lines have to go, even if they are such a boring chore to get rid of. But then what you do is you shoot a live video while you're doing it to save your boredom. But it is the worst part of the hobby, that's for sure. It'd be great if they could eliminate mould lines permanently. Oh, wouldn't that be cool if the GW released sprues that just were guaranteed to have no mould lines? Oh my god, I would love that. if they asked double the price, I'd probably pay it, because this is just the worst. But damn, it's hot in this hotel room. I think they will look at Sigmar. Sigmar is what age of Sigmar? What do you mean look at Sigmar? There's a lot of do we have stuff without mould lines in Age of Sigmar? That would be amazing. I quite like the look of Age of Sigmar, actually. I wouldn't mind getting into that at some point in the future. No. Ah, the squig off. Oh, brilliant. Thank you, Dick. The squig off. Sigmar. Yeah, I see what you're saying, yeah. Yeah, the what's it called? The big beastie that the Orc war boss is riding. Whatever it's called, yeah, that's what I'm trying to think. What's it called? It's not the. I was going to say the Fell Beast. That's from Lord of the Rings. But yeah, that big thing would convert into a good squig off, actually. Maw Crusher. That's it. The Maw Crusher. Yeah, that thing looks badass. But yeah, if they could create something like that for 40k of a similar scale and that to represent a squig off, that would be awesome. I'd snap that up straight away. But in the meantime, I'm taking a break from Orcs to focus on these Necrons, at least until that codex comes out. I'll still play them, like I say, but I'm going to wait before adding anything new. So, right, where are we up to now? I think once I finish this third set of legs, I'm going to close the video down, and then I'm going to go outside, have a cigarette break, and then come and finish this. What's the fucking crack about? Skarner's here. God, Skarner and his Irish banter, love it. What are you doing here, you fucking idiot? Oh, Skarner's going to be annoyed because I'm not doing Orcs here. I've turned traitor, Skarner. I'm building the filthy tin heads, as the Orcs call them. I was thinking how long it would take to set up my unpainted minis. Yeah, we were chatting last night, me and Skarner, just when I filmed last night's video, displaying my unpainted Orc army. And yeah, turncoat. I think Skarner's got a much bigger collection than me, and he wants to do the same thing basically. And I'd like to see his army laid out. So, unfortunately, Skarner, you've done it now. You've already basically sown the seeds there. You're gonna have to painstakingly lay out every single model in your Orc collection and film the whole lot and talk us all through it, because we'd all like to see it. I know I would. I've seen a couple of the pictures teasing me of a few of the models. He's got the Forge World Battle Fortress, the old one. I'm very jealous because that's such a cool model. Such a cool model. Okay, here's the third set of legs going on. I think I'm quite slow at this hobby, at all aspects of it. Building, painting, all of it. What's the crack? For sure, for sure. Right. Let's, yeah, this glue, guys, if none of you use this glue for your plastic. Humbrol, liquid poly, this stuff is brilliant. It sticks so quick, so effective. Even to bases, because you know a lot of them gluing to these black bases always seems to be a bit harder than everything else, but this stuff just gets to work so quick. It's almost like super glue, you touch it, and then you don't get very long to sort of move. Yeah, I just see that there comments there. Idic and Skarner chatting away. I saw the video with Skarner displaying the orc that Idic had painted for him. That's cool. Because Idic's very nicely offered to do the same thing for me and paint up one of my orcs, which would be cool. Well, there we are. 3 sets of legs in an hour. That's how slow I am. God, no wonder it's taken me ages to get this stuff. Been fun. Hope you do it again. Great night, guys, from the Viking Orc. Thank you, Magnus. Guys, it's been a real pleasure. You have cured my loneliness and boredom for a good hour. It's fantastic chatting to you all, doing a live. And good night, Joe. Thank you, mate. Idic, Skarner, all of you. And I'll catch up with you soon. I'm just looking now because I don't even know how to bring this to a close. But anyway, night. This is 6+ Stevo live, signing out.